As we continue our study in the Gospel of John, we are now looking at chapter 11, verses 55, 56, and 57. This is the beginning of a larger section. Carson calls it Triumph and Impending Death, which starts here at 11:55 and goes through 12:36. But again, we will just look in this recording at 11:55 through 57. The setting is the Passover. Every year, adult male Jewish people were required to attend 3 feasts in Jerusalem. One of those was the Passover. John has mentioned Passover in chapters 2 and 6. Perhaps the holiday mentioned in chapter 5:1 is also a Passover, but the Passover mentioned here in 11:55 is the third Passover specifically mentioned in the Gospel of John. And these 3 verses simply clarify the setting for the events that will follow. Chapter 11, verse 55. Now it was near the Passover of the Jews, and many went up to Jerusalem from the countryside before the Passover, so that they might purify themselves. This idea of purify, the verb is hagnidzo. It's only used once in the Gospel of John, and it's not found in the Synoptic Gospels. It can refer to ritual purification in connection with temple worship, as in this verse, but in James 4:8 we see it in the expression, purify your hearts. Well, according to Numbers, chapter 9, verses 6 through 12, people that were defiled, for example, because of a corpse, had to delay their Passover celebration. Perhaps this verse is saying that in order to prevent that delay, many went up to Jerusalem before the Passover in order to have time to purify themselves. It's not quite clear, really. Chapter 11, verse 56. Therefore they were seeking Jesus and saying to one another as they were standing in the temple complex, "What do you think? That he certainly won't come to the feast?" I translate, he certainly won't. The Greek is ou may. It's a double negative here again. The use of the imperfect tense for the word translated seeking and also for the word translated saying reflects the atmosphere among the crowds in the temple complex, in the temple courts. They were seeking and seeking and seeking, and they were saying and saying and saying. Now, in the Gospel of John, the verb translated seeking here, zeteo, is often used of those that were seeking to kill the Lord Jesus, but it's also used in neutral or positive context. We rely on the context to learn what we can of people's reasons for seeking him. Again, this verse is telling us about the atmosphere among the crowd in Jerusalem at that time. Those who ask, "What do you think? That he certainly won't come to the feast?" They didn't think that he would dare to come. It would be dangerous for him to come then. They understood that the Jewish religious leaders were against him. Chapter 11, verse 57. Now both the high priests and the Pharisees had given an order that if anyone knew where he is, he should make it known, so that they might seize him. So in summary, their decision to kill him in the meeting described in 11:47 through 53 resulted in this order. The inhabitants of Jerusalem and those who came specifically to celebrate Passover, they understood that the Sanhedrin, the council, wanted to act against the Lord Jesus. And so with this, we now understand the setting for the events that follow.